All right, everybody, we are live, the Lights Out Sports Podcast on a special Monday, Black Monday edition, when all of these coaches get fired and it gives us some more stuff to talk about. We have so many things to talk about tomorrow night. We couldn't fit all of this into one episode tomorrow, so we decided to split it up into two. Hopefully, the plan is we can keep this one about an hour long, and tomorrow's about 2 to 2.5 hours long. Yeah, right. Okay, but we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Cheese, how you been, buddy? Haven't seen you in a few days, man. I know you've been watching all kinds of NFL, bud.
All kinds. I watch as much as possible. I watched some of your Bengals and some of your Cardinals, and they lost, so they helped the draft pick. So that's good.
And I guess because the Cardinals lost, they helped kick Jonathan Gannon out the door. So we'll get to that here in just a little bit. We'll talk about all of these. There are 6 openings now in the NFL. We've got some notes to follow. We're going to go through it all, and we're going to do it with all of you. We appreciate you guys coming on board with us today. I do want to stress this. Oh, man, I can't stress this enough. I checked it on Saturday. Almost 12,000 views now on our YouTube channel. It is really going crazy. And, of course, I got to send it over to Captain YouTube to tell us exactly what we do on our YouTube channel, right, Cheese? Go ahead, buddy. Tell them.
So what you do is you subscribe to the channel and you hit that bell so you never miss one of our videos, because you never know when we do good reaction or watch along. You just don't know. So make sure you subscribe.
All right.
Also hit the button. Looks like this.
Oh, you got to hit that too.
Hit that too. Yeah, we like that.
Almost forgot that one. He'd never forget that on his own channel. What channel is that, Cheese?
That would be Football with Cheese, CHEEZ, Football with Cheese. Check it out. I did 2 videos today going over Falcons firing Raheem Morris and Browns firing Kevin Stefanski, because those to me were the most interesting, maybe most surprising.
Okay, so we'll talk about all of them here in a moment. He was not surprised when Jonathan Gannon got fired. And if you've been watching this show, he kept telling me he was, and I kept telling him no. So, I hate to tell him that he won, but, Gannon got fired. And okay, we'll just keep moving.
Yeah, well, the rumor was he wasn't. We're going to talk about him in a second, but the rumor was that he was going to keep his job. And I just couldn't see it. I just, obviously. So, yeah, and he was canned today.
Okay, I see how you are, buddy. Not that you're trying to rub that in or anything, but okay, fine. All right, guys, before we get going too far, I know it's a special edition, but we're still going to give you just a little different walk-up music. Here we go.
Are you ready? 20 seconds start now. Ten seconds remaining. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, I like that one. I like that song in the background. Okay, anyway, we'll get to everything here. Let's go over what we are actually going to do here today, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to look and see just some general questions about some of the franchises and some of the head coaches, and then we'll jump into strength of schedule before it's all said and done, and then we'll actually take it one coach at a time. We'll start with the Titans, then we'll go to the Falcons, and then the Browns, then we'll jump into the Raiders, then the Giants, and the Cardinals. We got a poll question out there. We'll get to that in a couple moments as well. And then we are going to conclude this episode of the Lights Out Sports Podcast with our predictions on exactly who will take over all of those 6 teams. All right. And the dog says yes. I can hear him in the background. I'm sure you can too. Oh, man.
I can.
Yes. So they agree. They like it. Everything's going well, man. All right, Cheese, let's go ahead and dive into this, man, really quickly. Some general questions. First, do you feel sorry for any of these fired head coaches?
No. I mean, you don't feel sorry for them. I mean, they're millionaires in that aspect. But Some of them maybe should have gotten at least another year. So I would say I feel sorry for him. It's just Black Monday is always tough, and some of them we'll go over each one individually, but some of them they're probably doing him a favor because they could probably get a better job. The one specific coach.
That's true. That's true. So let me give you three guys and how much they're going to make a week for the next either 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
All right. So Raheem Morris will make $150,000 a week for the next 3 years from the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, I don't feel sorry for him.
No. Pete Carroll will make $306,849 a week for the next 2 years from the Raiders.
And that's because they only gave him a 3-year contract. Most coaches get 4 or 5 years.
Well, Pete Carroll is 947 years old.
Sure.
Kevin Stefanski will make $201,369 a week for the next 2 years from the Browns.
Wow. Just go to TV for 2 years and then come back.
Right? I mean, that's what I would do if I were these guys. I wouldn't even think about coaching right at the moment. I'd take that money for the next however many years, either 2 or 3 they're going to do, 100%. Go to TV, and then I'd be done. Here's another question for you. I don't know about Jonathan Gannon's. I tried to find his. I didn't care about the rest of them, to be honest with you. So I didn't look them up. But Jonathan Gannon's actual contract details are really hard to find. And then there's some question as to how many years he actually signed for. I think it was 5, but there's some questions about that too. It's funny how the internet leaks all this stuff.
Well, yeah. NFL players, because of salary cap, their contract is open to the media, but coaches are not. So some coaches, I don't even know how much they make or how long it is. You don't have to disclose it. Some teams just do.
Okay.
But you don't have to disclose it if you're a coach or an assistant. But only a player does because of salary cap. You have to know.
Interesting. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are with us, we appreciate those of you who are. I wasn't sure if we were going to do this. That's why I didn't really start advertising it and promoting it until earlier today. Until like 9 or 10 o'clock this morning, there was only like one coach that had been fired. I mean, we already knew the Titans and we already knew the Giants, but Raheem Morris was the only one. And I'm like, well, are we really going to do a show and talk about one person? But, so then, the gauntlet started happening and the shoes all started dropping. So then we were like, yeah, we'll go ahead and do this one. So this is the Lights Out Sports Podcast special edition of Black Monday in the NFL. All right. Second general question before we jump into the actual coaches and teams themselves. Cheese, I think this is an interesting question. I can't wait to get your opinion on this. Which franchise is in the worst shape moving forward? Which one of these franchises that needs a new head coach is in the worst shape? And then I'm going to give you a statistic in a moment.
It's sad that I'm not saying the Raiders. That's just really, really sad that there's someone worse than the Raiders, and that's the Cleveland Browns. They're a disaster. Andrew Berry has done about as bad as you can do as a GM. Still has a job. I don't know how. And they fired their coach. He got the blame.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the one that signed traded for Deshaun Watson and gave him $250 million guaranteed.
Right.
That was Andrew Berry. So the Browns are going nowhere. They're over the cap next year. They have a terrible offense. They have some good tight ends and running backs, but they don't have anything else. So it doesn't matter. They don't have an offensive line, don't have receivers. I don't know who's going to play quarterback for them. I don't know if anyone wants that job. Andrew Berry's really never had a great draft. So I just don't. Because of Myles Garrett contract, because of Deshaun Watson's, they're just not going to have any cap room for a couple years. So I don't think the Browns are going to be good anytime soon.
All right. Let me give you a statistic on that team that you were surprised you did not mention, and they are the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, of course. They'll be spending $50 million next season on head coaches that were fired.
Oh my God. Okay. Do you have the breakdown?
Oh,
for
I
the
do,
bank?
sir. I have the breakdown.
Good, good.
Yes, here we go. $8 million to Antonio Pierce.
He was at least the coach last year, but I'm assuming there's further
Yes,
back.
yes, we're going back a little further. In fact, the next
Okay.
one will go back a little further. They still owe $10 million next year to Josh McDaniels.
What a disaster that was. Wow.
Number 3,
Mhm.
they still owe $10 million to John Gruden.
They're going to say John Madden.
No, I'm not that bad. Not that far off.
Art Shell still gets $15 million this year.
This coming season, they'll owe $16 million to Pete Carroll. And here's another one that I don't think anybody else is going to think about, but they still owe him $6 million, even though he went back to the college ranks to become a head coach. The Raiders still owe $6 million to Chip Kelly next year.
Unbelievable.
And
yeah, because he was
all
the
that
offensive coordinator. Yeah.
Yes. And all of that put together, $50 million just on fired head coaches that the Los Angeles Raiders will owe next year. Talk about being over the cap.
Well, it doesn't count. That's the thing, is it doesn't count toward the cap.
That's
So
true.
if coaches did, then a lot fewer coaches would get fired, like, for sure. But that's insane.
There's an insane stat for you. All right, let's start with the Titans, sir.
Mhm.
So let me ask you just a generalized question. Will Mike McCoy be retained?
No, God,
Not just
Absolutely
no, but oh God, no.
no. No, he's not being retained. I don't even know if he's going to get an interview, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. In your opinion, Cheese, do the Titans need to go with an offensive or a defensive coach?
Just the best candidate. I don't really think it matters. Most teams for years would do offense. I think at one point there was 21 of 32 head coaches that had offensive background.
Mhm.
But just because, especially with young quarterbacks, and then the rules are designed to help offense, so you just want to make sure you know your head coach is a good mentor for the quarterback. But defense has improved steadily the last 4 or 5 years, and I think there's a lot more better defensive candidates because there's a lot more defense coordinators having success.
Okay.
But a lot of people just say, assume they should just go offense. It's about getting the right person. You don't necessarily have to have an offensive head coach if you get a really good coordinator. So I don't think it matters.
All right, that's interesting. I kind of think they need to go offense because of Cam Ward. They've got to get that right.
I think they will. Same with the Falcons. I think they will for Michael Penix. But you don't want to just say, I'm going to eliminate half the candidates because I'm only going to go offense. I'm just going to interview offense. I think that would be a mistake. You want to make sure you get the right guy, not necessarily like an offensive guru.
All right, I get that. So I forgot this. Let me throw this in here real quick before we jump into these too much. We talked about this off air. I wanted to bring this up right now. The NFL has already released all the schedules for next year. We all know who they're playing, home and away, right? It was funny. Cheese and I were talking about this off air, and he was rattling off, this team's going to play this, and I'm just like, okay. I don't know how you keep track of all of it, but at the
That's
same
all
point,
up here too. I didn't look. That's just all up here.
I know it was.
Was.
Yeah, at the same point, my wife makes fun of me all the time because I can rattle off batting average and all kinds of this stuff on a bunch of different Major League Baseball players. That's just kind of where I'm the baseball guy, you're the football guy. So I guess it shouldn't surprise me that you can rattle all that stuff off. Do you think if a team has a low strength of schedule, that it becomes a more a better destination for a new coach because they know they're going to play a weak strength of schedule?
There's evidence that it's very helpful. So 14 of the 17 games you play the same as your division, and the other 3 could be a huge difference. New England, Chicago, last place schedule. Denver, third place schedule. Look how well they've done. Jacksonville, I think, was third place. It's really beneficial to Panthers, I think, played third place.
Yeah, so you're saying third place in their division, so they played
division last year, so they get easier schedule. Yeah,
gotcha.
Like the example we were talking about before the show was the Bears got to play the Raiders, while the rest of the division played the Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Broncos, and they all lost. That's a win the Bears gained, and they won the division. So to answer your question, possibly if you're a last place schedule, you might look good in your first year. Because we're going to play an easier schedule than the first place, especially a team that may have underachieved, like the Giants. I think underachieved, like the Cardinals. So, yeah, I think so.
Of course. No, go ahead. Go ahead and finish your
No,
thought.
I was just saying, yeah, I think it's possible. I don't think it's the biggest factor, but I think it's possible.
All right. So, I'm not going to bring this up unless I have the 32 teams strength of schedules right here in front of me. And I just so happen to have it right here. So let's start at the bottom and go to the top, because you're going to be interested in some of these teams.
Okay.
The team that has the worst strength of schedule is the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, the hardest schedule?
No, the easiest. I'm sorry. We're starting easiest and going to hardest.
Okay.
So the easiest schedule next year is the Cleveland Browns.
They won't do anything with it.
No, but their job is open right now. So maybe they can use that to get somebody. Then the New Orleans Saints, then the Cincinnati Bengals, then the Indianapolis Colts, and then at 28, the Atlanta Falcons. Their job is open. At 27, the Detroit Lions, then the Houston Texans, then the Tennessee Titans, the Baltimore Ravens, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Coming in at number 20 is the Dallas Cowboys. At 19 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then you have the 49ers, the Giants, the Commanders, the Broncos, the Seahawks, the Rams, the Jets, the Vikings, the Panthers, the Chargers, the Bills. The Raiders are at the 7th hardest schedule.
Because they have a brutal division. Yeah.
Yes. Then here's number 6. The New England Patriots jump all the way up to the 6th hardest schedule next year. Kansas City has the 5th. The Cardinals have the 4th. Green Bay.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
Once again, brutal division. Yeah.
Yes, the Cardinals have the 4th.
Okay.
Green Bay has the 3rd.
Of course.
The Miami Dolphins have the 2nd hardest. And again, you're right, because of the division in which they play. And because they won the division this year. The team next year that you can make fun of the entire season that has the hardest strength of schedule, the Chicago Bears.
Yep, they had a real easy schedule this year. So, yeah, if you're in a brutal division, obviously it's going to change. And you mentioned the Browns and Bengals were low. Well, their division stinks right now. So that helps make it easier. But, yeah, Browns, last place in a bad division. You're going to get an easier schedule.
All right, so here in a few moments, we're going to, as we end this show, we're going to give our predictions as to where each one of these teams is going to go for their next head coach. And then you guys can vote on 4 teams that we kind of thought would possibly change head coaches. So here's the thing. Here's your poll question that's over there right now on All Gloves Off SM on X. And I'm sure that's my good buddy Cheese has reposted it for us, so it's probably over on his account as well.
It is.
It is which of these 4 NFL teams should have made a change in head coach? And you've got these 4 teams to choose from: the Miami Dolphins, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Indianapolis Colts. And I'll tell you this, for those of you who haven't looked at it yet, one of those 4 teams has 0 votes. 0 votes. It's kind of interesting to me. We'll get to that here in just a few moments. But, so we said that you don't think Mike McCoy is going to be retained for the Titans. You said best available, kind of like when you do draft board stuff, right? You're not really looking for, is there an offensive guy I want? Is there a defensive guy I want? A lot of teams go in and do best available. So that's what you're thinking that the Titans should do for their next head coach. And I want to give you some quotes from Mike McCoy that he said over the last couple of days. And then we'll go over these for a moment, and then we'll move on to the Falcons. Mike McCoy said, "I'd love to be here. I love this place. I love this organization. It's a special place. I want to help this organization win." That was one quote. A second one, "I can't thank everybody involved enough, and that goes from the top down. This was an amazing opportunity." This was an amazing opportunity, his words, "and I never thought I'd be doing this again, probably at this level." That was the second quote. Here's the third one. "I love leading. It's just, I can't thank these guys enough. It's really not just the players and coaches, but the entire organization for the way they rallied around our plan and what we wanted to do." What did they want to do? Lose? He won 2 games since he took over. And the problem with all of these quotes, Cheese, is he didn't give the Titans not one reason to retain him. He's just saying how great they are and how much he'd like to be there. If I'm trying to stay there as a head coach, I'm going to say, well, this is what I did, and this is what the players did under me, and this is what he didn't do any of that. So my question to you is, why should they even think about hiring him? Why should they even give him an interview at this point?
I don't know. When they named him interim coach, I was shocked. A lot of people were. I guess they were just seeing if he could flip around the season, maybe. I don't know. Cam Ward did get better after he took the job, but I don't think it was because of him. I think he just, as the rookie season went on, he more experience, he played better. It wasn't like he played amazing. So, Mike McCoy, I don't know. Maybe he'll still be retained as an offensive assistant, but that's it. He's not going to be the head coach of the Tennessee Titans.
Here's our good buddy, Mr. First Down. Let me give you some breaking news about Mr. First Down. I've talked to him a little bit on the side. He will probably be on our show sometime soon. And more than likely, when we do our draft special, Mr. First Down has already said, count me in. So we'll be doing another draft special as well. So he said, the lights aren't out. I paid the bill. And he says, as a Titans fan, I'm excited. Cheese, would you be excited as a Titans fan?
Well, nowhere to go but up. Got to get the right coach. Got to trade down and get more picks. Need a couple new starters in the offensive line, and need a number 1 receiver. Need a lot of help on defense. So I don't know. I'm not sure if Tony Pollard's a free agent or not, running back, but they might need a future running back. But could use an upgraded tight end. There's a lot. They need a lot, but nowhere to go up. And they play a last place schedule, but they typically do. And because they finished last place, they get to play at Detroit because Detroit finished last place. So that sucks.
Okay. We're trying to make him happy right now, right? I mean, what are you doing over there?
Well, the Lions, you mentioned the schedule. The Lions have been a first place schedule for a few years now, and they finally get a last place schedule. So when the Bears are playing the Jaguars, they're going to be playing the Titans. So we'll see if the Lions could be they could go right back to being like 12, 13, 14 win team. We'll see.
Yes, and we appreciate you reposting the stream for us. Thank you very much. All of you can do that if you so desire, and you guys can all chat us, just like Mr. First Down and Wrestling what? I don't know, whatever that is. The Wrestling Podcast, yeah. This one. I'll show them on the screen one more time so that you can take their number down. I don't know what that little symbol is after it. I don't know. I'm old. I can barely see that thing.
I think it's a newspaper, like Post, like Repost.
Oh, okay. Well, look at you. Okay, your eyes are better than mine, which isn't saying a whole lot. So
it really isn't.
It really isn't. Thanks for agreeing so fast. I appreciate it.
No
so you've
problem.
got the poll question you can go over and vote on. You have the ability to vote on another poll question too. Cheese, you're putting up a poll question, right? What do you got for us, bud?
Yeah, so my poll is, let me pull up here. What 6th or 7th seed in the playoffs has the best chance to reach the Super Bowl? And that would be the 49ers, Bills, Packers, or Chargers. And it's on my channel at Football Cheese on X, at Football CHEEZ. And it's going to expire sometime during our podcast tomorrow night, and that's when we'll go over which. And right now, there's only 2 votes so far, so make sure you check it out.
Well, you've only had it up there for like 15 minutes, man. Don't sell yourself short, okay? You'll get a ton of votes, I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
I'll do it after the show.
It's got 6 views, so that's why it'll get more.
It will. It will. All right, so let's go to the Falcons. We've talked about the Titans. Let's go to the Falcons here for a moment. Raheem Morris, they let him go. They finished the season 8-9, and that's by far the best record of any team on this list. So, Cheese, help me make sense of this. Why'd they let him go?
So I did a video. Make sure you check out my channel at Football with Cheese, where I go real in depth about it. But the main reason is I think they want an offensive head coach. Just the exact thing I said don't do. Michael Penix Jr. played well the last 4 or 5 games last year after they benched Kirk Cousins. And it looked like he was going to have a breakout year. Maybe not Drake May breakout, but they expected him to play well, and he didn't. And then he got hurt. And I think they want to bring in a coach who has quarterback coach experience, play calling experience, an offensive coach to see if they can fix him. Because they went heavy in the draft and gave up future first-round pick for defense, and they really improved the defense. They probably have the most athletic defensive line in the NFL, but the offense got way worse. And you have Bijan Robinson, this playmaker. You have Drake London. So they have to get good quarterback play. And they should have won the division. They tied for first, 3-way tie. They should have with their talent on the roster. And I guess they felt like Raheem Morris should have done more. And, that loss to the Jets, that was probably it. If they beat the Jets, they one of the worst teams in the NFL, they would have made the playoffs. So.
All right, let's see. Ramen on Wheels here has commented on the Atlanta Falcons. She says it might hurt for some Falcons fans to see him go, but being stuck is just okay. Probably hurts more. Hopefully they get the next move right. And, we've talked about the Pittsburgh Steelers in the past, how they're just kind of stuck in mediocrity. Yeah, you don't want to be that in any sport. Being in the middle, not getting a great draft pick, not being able to get free agents and stuff like that, that's the worst place to be. Thank you, Rama. We appreciate that. And we agree with you, right, Chase?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's back-to-back years. I think they were 8-9 last year. Could be wrong. But that's the worst you can do is just win 8 or 9 games every year in, year out, because you're not going to pick in the top 10, and you're not going to make the playoffs. You're not going to get the fans excited. So, yeah, the worst thing you can be is just average every year.
So the team and the players didn't seem to quit on him, and he also seems to be a good leader. Would you agree with both of those statements, sir? I
think so, and they finished really strong. They were playing well. If they had made the postseason, I wouldn't want to play them. They were playing really well to end the year. They beat the Rams a couple weeks ago. So, and they got rid of their GM, Terry Fontenot, too. I think they just wanted just a clean slate. And they're doing the thing that probably the smart move. They're hiring a firm. And we'll talk when we – well, no, I guess
no,
we
go
won't
ahead.
talk
Because I didn't know they were hiring a firm. You're going to give me information here.
I like when teams hire a firm. You're like, why are they hiring a firm? Why aren't they just trusting their personnel? Let me just tell you what the Dolphins are doing with their GM search. They hired Troy Aikman as a consultant. What a dumb move. What is Troy Aikman? He's been in TV for 20 years now? Like all he's going to do is all the people, he knows everyone in the NFL because he's on TV. He knows people in the front office, head coaches. He's going to take his buddies. They're going to call him up, hey, recommend me for the Dolphins job. And he's going to recommend his buddies. That's the way it works. I don't understand why they would involve Troy Aikman, what connection he has to the Dolphins. A search firm is not biased. There's no bias. It's not my buddy. For example, Tom Brady, partial owner of the Raiders, he knew John Spytek, their GM, when they were together in Tampa, and brings him in. I'm not saying it was bad hire. We'll see, but it's instead of getting the right guy, you might have some bias in there. So I like that the Falcons for both positions have hired a firm to help with the job. And I think about half the league does do that.
All right, so we'll talk about Tom Brady and the Raiders here in just a little bit as well. We'll get to that because I do think that may have a effect on everything before it's all said and done. Last thing here on the Falcons and Raheem Morris, you mentioned it. The GM got fired too. So I'm going to ask you, Cheese, should head coaches and GMs kind of be a package deal, and why or why not?
No, not necessarily, because sometimes you have a really good drafting GM and just a bad head coach, and vice versa. You have a great head coach and your team doesn't draft well, like the Browns, but they fired the wrong guy. But I don't think it should be a package deal. But I think one of the strangest things about the NFL is almost every year, double the amount of head coaches get fired than front office personnel, than general managers or team presidents or whatever. And so for some reason, owners give you longer. You don't get 2 or 3 years like some coaches. You get 5 or 6. So I just think some of these GMs that keep their jobs shouldn't. And some of these coaches that get fired also shouldn't. Like, I think coaches get too much blame. And I think, GMs will come out and just say, well, wasn't we expected? And I'm thinking, look at your last 3 drafts. You're blaming the coach and firing him. It's just like, it just doesn't make sense to me that front office guys get longer leash.
Well, they're not going to fire themselves, Cheese. I mean, I hope you understand that, right?
Right. The owner has to, but that's a good point. That means they're more likely to make a move than an owner.
Right. And it's much easier to fire one than it is, 53 in this case, or, in other words, it's easier to fire the one manager than it is to fire a whole bunch of players. So of course he's the guy that's going to get the blame. What I'm surprised at, since we're talking about this for a second, I'm really surprised that offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators don't get knocked out before the head coach does. Like, I didn't hear any offensive or defensive coordinators get knocked out today. Did you?
No. Sometimes they're still under contract and they want the new coach to decide if they want to keep him. I think it's funny that the Raiders fired Chip Kelly, in the middle of the season. But the offensive line for the Raiders was one of the worst in the NFL. Pete Carroll didn't fire his son, who's the offensive line coach. He didn't get fired.
Interesting.
I'm sure he's fired now, but
I'm sure he is. I'm sure that was a package deal, right?
But you're right, though. I haven't heard of any a head coach that's keeping their job just firing coordinators. Maybe they still will. Maybe they wait till Black Tuesday. I don't know, but I don't know.
Maybe. All right, let's move on to the Browns and Kevin Stefanski for a moment. So the Browns entered the season with 4 quarterbacks. And this has entered the season with 4 quarterbacks before everybody starts going all crazy when they hear these names I'm about to rattle off. So they entered with Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, Kenny Pickett, and Joe Flacco. Cheese, how in the world is anyone supposed to win with those 4 people at quarterback?
Don't forget Deshaun Watson on IR.
True. You're right. I didn't even think about that. Yes.
You can't. No one thought they would. That's an absolute disaster. Kenny Pickett was the one traded. He's a backup, not even a good one. Joe Flacco, 41 years old? That was just trying to be a bridge. That's all. And, I get why they drafted Gabriel. I get why they drafted Sanders. But using 3rd and 5th round picks on quarterbacks, most quarterbacks, most of the best are 1st round picks. If they fall that far, there's a reason. So using 2 picks on quarterbacks was dumb. I get it. Take a shot. But they have a lot of holes on offense. They could have drafted offensive linemen with those 2 picks. So it was never going to work. And their franchise quarterback's not on the roster.
All right. How good is their defense really? And with that good defense, and they still only won 5 games, do you think that played into Stefanski getting fired?
Yeah, I think it's possible. The defense is incredible. Absolutely incredible, considering it gets almost no help from the offense. The offense is anemic. It's one of the best defenses in the NFL, has the defensive player of the year. It's pretty much a lock. And Myles Garrett, in case you didn't know. Yeah. But
he's pretty good.
Yeah, he does not suck at football. I think the big reason he got fired is the offense was so bad last 2 years, and he was an offensive coach. And even though the personnel's terrible, I guess he was supposed to fix it. I don't know. Sometimes people just want to change. They just want to change to make a change, which is kind of dumb, but it's the Browns, and it's one of the more poorly run franchises in all of sports.
What do the Browns do with Myles Garrett moving forward? Since we're talking about their defense, can they trade him for enough draft picks to make it worth their while to actually trade him?
No, because someone might offer 3 and then some late round picks, but no one's going to give you 5 picks for Myles Garrett, 5 first rounders or anything. And you can't really trade him. You just sign an extension. They're already over the cap. The dead money that would hit their cap, they can't do it. because Deshaun Watson just kills their. Do you know Deshaun Watson has an $80 million cap hit, I believe, this year? I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does he really? $80 million?
Let me see if I can find it. I thought I had it up. Hold on. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's either this year or next year. Let me see. It might be. I think it's next year. Let's see. No, next year. His cap number is $80.7 million. So they're over the cap next year. It's Deshaun Watson.
26 or 27?
26 next year. $80 million cap hit. And here's another problem. You can lower that a ton and get under the cap, but then you have to push it on future years, and that'll hurt them in the future. So they're an absolute disaster, and it's not going to get better anytime soon.
But yet their GM kept his job.
Somehow.
Yes. All right. So if you are the coach of the Cleveland Browns, they come out and they hire Cheese because, he's cheap and they can get him for almost nothing. What do you do?
I don't know. The Browns might have to pay up to take that job.
That'd be the catch, huh? They'd even have to pay you, huh?
They have to pay me a lot, maybe. Yeah. Just about every other job I'd be cool with, but this one, you might have to pony up.
Okay. So what would you do at quarterback with the Cleveland Browns in this upcoming season? I mean, are you going to ride with Sanders? Are you going to bring Gabriel back? Are you going to – because I don't think Watson's going to be ready, is he? Or even if he would, is that who you'd choose? I mean, what are we doing here with the quarterback and the Cleveland Browns?
You can't play Deshaun Watson ever again. He's just horrible. I would keep Gabriel, see if he develops. I would listen to Sanders, see if I can get at least that 5th-round pick back. And I just signed a veteran just to be competitive. You don't have to go after the best veteran, maybe even like a Gardner Minshew, just someone just so you're at least like competitive. I mean, they're picking 6th, so they're not going to get – they do have the Jaguars pick, but it's going to be a late first round. So I guess they could move up if there's a quarterback they like. I doubt it because the teams picking 1st and 2nd need quarterbacks, the Raiders and Jets. So I think they just signed a veteran. I might even trade down and try to get future picks, and hopefully like next year should be a really good quarterback class, depending, especially if Dante Moore comes back to Oregon. So just they got to sign a veteran just to, maybe help mentor Gabriel, maybe just, be somewhat competitive next year. But I don't see a quick fix in the draft where they're picking.
All right, so you've got Myles Garrett that you can't trade. You're over the cap. You have no clue as to what in the world you're doing at quarterback. With all of these issues, will anyone really want to be the head coach of the Cleveland Browns?
That's a good point. I still remember like Ben Johnson last year got to pick his job. He picked the Bears. He probably would have taken the Jaguars job. I think he would have if they had fired Trent Baalke earlier. Do you remember Trent Baalke was the GM and Liam Cohen said, I don't want the job. I don't even want to interview. And then they fired him. Liam Cohen's like, oh, hi, by the way, I'll take the job. And they really wanted Ben Johnson first, but Ben Johnson didn't even interview. So they could have a situation like that. The best candidates just like, no, thanks. But there's always going to be someone. There's someone that wants a head coaching job that will take it. You'll find somebody. It might not be your top 2 or 3 choices, but there's always going to be someone that will take the job.
I've got to throw this out there. I can't wait to see your reaction. If no one else will take the job, could the Cleveland Browns turn to Deion Sanders to be their next head football coach?
Andrew Berry's a complete idiot, but he's not that stupid. That it would be hilarious. I would enjoy the memes. I'd enjoy the whole story, the drama of it. I'm sure they would be on Hard Knocks. I'd watch it, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, but if they're not going to get anywhere, and we both know they're not, everybody watching the show right now knows they're not going anywhere, right?
Not anytime soon. Not for a while.
Right. So then why don't you go for the splash? Why don't you just said it. Oh, I'd watch that. Oh, that's a train wreck. I'd be right there for it, right? Why not go for that?
To be honest, I don't think he would be the worst coach in the NFL if they hired him. I wouldn't do it. I don't think he'd be near the best, not even close. But
I mean, what do they have to lose?
If they did it, it would be more just, like you said, for the attention, just for the whole thing of it. But I think he'd take it. I think he would take it, but
Me too. I do too.
I just don't see it happening. I just don't see that. They're going to pretend like they're actually like a well-run organization. We're going to try really hard to get like a serious coach. They're going to try, but
I don't think it's going to work, sir.
They're not going to be good at least for the next 2 years. Whoever takes a job, they're going to you need at least a 4-year contract, and I might ask for 5.
Yeah, because we went over all the money that all these coaches are going to get regardless. 150,000, 306,000, 201,000, and that's per week.
That's
for
week.
Morris, Carroll, and Stefanski. That's a week. Every week.
Yeah, more than I make in a year. Yep.
Yes. More than probably 90% of the people listening to this podcast make in a year. Yep. You could probably lump 4 or 5 of them together and listen to this podcast. And I mean, Pete Carroll's going to make over $305,000. Yeah, you can lump 3 or 4 people together and probably not make $305,000. So anyway, I'm not making fun of the people who listen to the podcast, of course, but that's just the reality of it. I mean, maybe the best job in the world might be a fired NFL head football coach.
Well, let me tell you one more thing about their cap that I just noticed. There's something called void years where you can take part of the contract, a certain amount of money, and stick it into future years, even though they're not on your team anymore, to get under the cap.
Mm-hmm.
They have $23.5 million a void year of Joel Bitonio guard on next year's cap, and he's a free agent. They have 4.3 on Ethan Pacic, the center, next year, and he's a free agent. So between those two interior offensive linemen, that's over almost $28 million of dead cap on next year's salary. That's Andrew Berry's run organization.
Yeah, that's Andrew Berry at his best right there.
Harvard grad. Really smart.
Until he started running the football team.
Oh, there's more void years. That's just the 2 biggest.
Wow. All right, buddy. Let's jump in. We got 3 more to get to here. The Raiders, the Giants, and the Cardinals. We'll do them in that order. So let's jump into the Raiders and Pete Carroll getting fired today. The first question I've got for you, because this would be a real big no for me. I'm going to see what your answer is. Would you have hired him in the first place, Pete Carroll?
Absolutely not. Terrible hire. I never thought he was a good coach. Those Seattle teams were so loaded. They had the most talent in the league, best rosters. He should have won 2 Super Bowls. I just never thought he ever elevated that team. And no, I still have no idea what they were thinking.
And not only did they do that, but then they let him talk him into bringing in Geno Smith, right? So,
well, not just that. Not just that. They gave up a 3rd-round pick to Seattle and paid him. He's not going anywhere. They gave him an extension, and most of it guaranteed. So he's there the next 2 years, no matter what. He was awful. If the Browns and Vikings didn't have quarterbacks, then he would be the worst quarterback in the league last year. Like this past year, the worst. Only the 2 Browns quarterbacks and those 2 Vikings were worse, probably, as far as like efficiency. That's how bad he was.
Yeah, he was bad.
He was bad. And you could have had Sam Darnold for free. Just signed him a free agent contract like Seattle did. Seattle, what a heist. They got a 3rd-round pick for Geno Smith and then signed Sam Darnold. And they're in first place. They have the best record in the NFL, and the Raiders have the worst.
Good job, Raiders.
And they're not the worst run team on this list.
Oh God. This is why we had to do this show. We got so much stuff to talk about just on this. We had to do it separate. Yeah. So Carroll did have weapons on both sides of the ball here, right? So he had Geno Smith. He had Brock Bowers. Max Crosby's there. Ashton Genty's there. He even had an established offensive line coach in Chip Kelly. So, I mean, I think I could have taken the Raiders and did better than Pete Carroll did. Why didn't this work out?
Well, the offensive line's awful, just awful. And the receiving core is terrible. It was bad with Jacoby Myers. They traded him to Jacksonville. So they don't have any receivers worth a crap. Mm-hmm. And the defense is, Max Crosby is a very, very good player. Great pass rusher. They don't have a lot of other playmakers on that defense. It's just a poor roster. But they still should have won, 2 games. They should have won at least 4 or 5 games. It's bad. But they actually beat New England week 1, by the way.
Yeah,
At New
I
England.
saw. Mhm.
Yeah.
And then
I
one more
remember
game.
watching it. I'm like, wow, the Patriots aren't going to be very good at all. They can't beat the Raiders at home. It's crazy. But
And then they beat the Chiefs, I believe, for their second win.
yeah, well, maybe they won 3 because they beat the Chiefs this past week. But anyway, yeah, they need better blocking. Ashton Gianti, of all the running backs in the league, I think he was 3rd lowest in yards for the first time he gets hit among running backs that had at least 100 carries. 3rd lowest. And Josh Jacobs had that problem when he was in the Raiders. He's getting hit by the defense sometimes by the time he even gets to the line of scrimmage. So they need better blocking on the offensive line, especially run blocking.
I'm just going to give you this stat and just let it sink in, everyone. Not only the people watching, but just let it sink in. All right.
Be mentally prepared.
Okay, you ready?
Shoot.
In the last 24 seasons, the Raiders have had 14 head coaches.
The Steelers have had 2.
Right?
Since John Gruden, I guess. Holy crap. Okay, can you name all 14?
No, and I wasn't even going to try.
I could probably get 10 of them, but we don't need to go there.
Yeah, well, let's not. They're all terrible people. But let's look at this, though. And I think this is an interesting dynamic between the 14 head coaches in the last 24 years and the fact that this team, the Las Vegas Raiders, might be the most attractive team on this entire list because they've got Brock Bowers and Max Crosby and Ashton Gianti, and they're going to have the number 1 overall pick. So, Cheese, I'm just going to flat out ask you, is this the best head coaching job that's open in the NFL right now?
You might have a disgruntled Max Crosby, but the number 1 pick is huge. I still think the Falcons is probably better because that's a very talented roster. You obviously have to get Penix playing better. So I'm going to still say the Falcons, but it's better than most of them, and that's crazy. We'll see how John Spytek does as GM. He's only done 1 year. But, yeah, I'd say probably – I don't know. The Giants, I don't know. It's tough. But I would say Falcons is best.
Okay. Last thing here on the Raiders. Let's look at the Tom Brady factor. Of course, we know Tom Brady owns a minimal part of the Las Vegas Raiders. And he's already talking about, there's already articles out there that he's going to bring in this big collection of old Patriot guys to run everything. Brian Flores as the coach, the defensive coordinator of the Vikings right now. Brian Dable is the offensive coordinator of the Chargers currently. And Jesse Minter is the defensive coordinator, I believe, of the Chargers as well. I may have messed up one of those.
Jesse Minter, yeah. He used to be at Michigan, and that's Tom Brady went to Michigan. There's that connection there. He was Jim Harbaug's defensive coordinator in Michigan. Now he's there at the Chargers.
Okay, so he is at the Chargers. All right. I wrote it down kind of funky. I thought maybe I messed it up. So Brian Flores, head coach. Brian Dable, of course, who was Giants head coach up until about midway through the season, would be their offensive coordinator. And then Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator for the Chargers. They've all got that connection with Tom Brady, with Michigan, with the New England Patriots. That's all there. Cheese, do you think this could actually work?
I mean, they're all really good coaches, I think. Yeah, it could work. Why not Charlie Weiss? Why not bring Charlie Weiss in there? Romeo Crennel. Let's just keep going. Bill Parcells. Okay.
Okay, that's enough now.
All right.
You've gone over the line, sir.
Yeah, it's interesting to see if he hires one of them for the head coaching job of the Raiders. I think he might, actually. Of those 3 guys, I think one of them might be the head coach of the Raiders. It's interesting that John Spytek came over from Tampa, right? And they didn't even interview Liam Cohen. They had a chance to before the Jaguars hired him. And, of course, Liam Cohen's done a great job with Jacksonville. Completely flipped that team from a bad team to a really good team, to a team that no one wants to play right now. So Yeah, interesting that they didn't interview him. They might have been able to get him last year, but yeah, I think he could work. What do you think?
I actually think so too. I'm just not sure about Brian Daboll as the offensive coordinator. He crashed and burned in New York so bad. I don't know what you'd get from him as an offensive coordinator, but he is a good offensive-minded coach. So,
We'll
it's kind
see.
of
I mean, he was the offensive coordinator for the Bills, but they had Josh Allen and then Stephon Diggs, and then was it really Brian Daboll, this great coordinator, or was he just in a really good offense? I just don't know.
in the air yet, right?
I just don't really. Freeman says, "Oh, he's this offensive genius." I just don't necessarily see it. He might be. He might be a great offensive guy. I like him. He's likable. I liked him on Hard Knocks. I would like him to be on my staff. I don't know. I just don't know how really good he is because he played with Josh Allen as his quarterback. So, and he just hasn't gotten the same out of any quarterback in the Giants. Let's be honest. Daniel Jones stunk under Daboll, and he looked pretty good for the Colts.
That's true. That's true. That's one of the teams that you can vote for on our poll question, the Colts. Bengals, Dolphins, Ravens, Colts. Which one of those 4 teams should have made a head coaching change? You can go over to our poll question at All Gloves Off SM and vote right now, and we'll talk about it here at the end of this show. Speaking of Giants coaches, Brian Daboll, let's stick with those Giants for a moment. Cheese, same question that I asked you earlier on another team, but I think it's a little more relevant to this team. Do the Giants go with an offensive-minded guy or a defensive-minded guy at head coach?
So Joe Schoen is still there. He's their GM. Just looking at what I know about him, it doesn't matter to him. And looking at the candidates, it's offensive and defensive guys. So a lot of people think it's going to be someone offensive, but they're going to interview some defensive candidates too. So I don't think it's really a preference. It's really just about getting the right guy. You need the right fit for your organization, the right leader that's going to get the most out of the players and develop them. That's what you need. It sounds simple. It's hard to find good coaches, because a lot of them get, we get 6 to 8 fired every year, and we have 6 so far now, 6 openings so far. So there could still be another firing or 2. You never know.
You think so?
I haven't heard anything out of Baltimore. There's been a rumor that they might just want a new voice in the locker room from John Harbaugh. I don't know if Mike Tomlin's going to quit if they lose first round or if they're going to fire him. I don't know what's going to happen in Green Bay with Matt LaFleur if they get destroyed by Chicago, because that will not be okay. Well, Sam, we'll talk about that in a second. So I think there's some other teams. It's possible. There's even a rumor, I don't see it, that Sean McDermott could be let go if the Bills lose first round. So, I got to do a deeper dive, Sam, on Mendoza. I got to watch more film. I'm so glad I get to watch him probably 2 more games, let's be honest, beating Indiana. But I want to do a deeper dive on him because I have heard some people say that he's not a typical number 1 overall, he's not as good as you think. He's looked pretty darn good, looked pretty efficient, but we'll see. So I need to really do a little bit deeper dive on him. But yeah, we will talk a lot about Mendoza in the draft as we get closer in the spring.
I looked at a couple things over the weekend, and I watched more college than I did NFL over the weekend. I went back and rewatched a lot of the bowl games and stuff like that I didn't get a chance to do because, honestly, the NFL was terrible. We pretty much already knew what was going to happen, and I think most of us could predict the winners in most of the games before they even started. So I didn't watch any of I watched the second half of the Steelers and Baltimore game.
Sorry.
That was it.
I'm so sorry. So let's just talk about that game real quick. And Panthers, Buccaneers, right? Mm-hmm. And Steelers, Ravens, both huge games for the division, right? Turned out the Panthers, Buccaneers wasn't for the division, but because the Falcons Saints game. But still, stakes, huge. Mm-hmm. All of those teams, all 4 of them, looked like they did not want to win. All 4 of them played like crap. The Steelers and Ravens both made 5 or 6 just awful things, missed kicks, There was a play where the Steelers had a linebacker covering Zay Flowers down the middle of the field, the best receiver on the Ravens. They have a linebacker covering
on the Ravens, to be honest.
Patrick Queen, he's not even a good linebacker. Like, just complete breakdowns by both teams, missed extra point. Then it was a disaster. Both teams, if the Steelers play like that against the Texans, they're going to get killed. If the Panthers play like that against the Rams, they're going to get killed. Those games
both do, by the way.
So tough to watch. Oh my God. Well, I don't think an 8-9 team should be hosting a playoff game, but anyway. But yeah, those were tough. And the other game that meant something was Seattle, San Francisco, and the 49ers just could not do anything. And I know they didn't have Trent Williams, and I know they didn't have Ricky Pearsall, but yeah, Brock Purdy been so good, but Seattle's defense was incredible. Absolutely incredible in that game. And yeah, watch out for the Seahawks. Jaguars and Seahawks, no one wants to play those teams right now.
It's true. It's true. Do they need the Giants? We'll go back to the Giants for a second, okay? Do they need an experienced head coach, or do you think they need to go out and get one of these new, young, up-and-coming guys because their team is kind of young with Jackson Dart and our buddy Cam Scatterboo and all of that? What do you think there? Does it make a difference if they get an experienced older coach, or should they go out and get a 30 or 40-something-year-old guy?
If I'm owner Cheese, I prefer up-and-coming, more younger, up-and-coming type coaches, coordinators, and that's just what I like to do. I don't like retread coaches. Now, having said that, a lot of retread coaches have won a lot, like I think 20 last 30 Super Bowls, something like that. Andy Reid, Bill Belichick are retread coaches. For example, Mike Vrabel, look how he's done. He's a retread. Sean Payton, they're all retread coaches. So it just depends. I mean, there's someone like a Sean Payton or Mike Vrabel out there that's different. But I prefer the up-and-coming guy. I don't like I wouldn't have hired Dan Quinn if I was Washington, retread coach. He absolutely blew a Super Bowl in Atlanta. I would not forgive that. You know what I mean? So while the evidence shows that retread coaches are at least the last 30 years or so have won more Super Bowls, I prefer the young up-and-coming coordinator. What about you?
I'm kind of in the same boat that you are, but I also have to acknowledge what you just said. The up-and-coming guys, I mean, I like a lot of them, but they're not as successful, it doesn't seem, as the retread coaches. I just don't like to see the same coaches over and over and over again. Like, I think there's a pretty good shot that half of these coaches that just got fired are going to be rehired within the next 2 years.
Well, Kevin Stefanski is another one. Like, I don't think he's a bad coach, and most of the NFL doesn't either, because he's already. I think he's got 3 interviews already. People have reached out to him, and same with Mike Vrabel. When he got fired by the Titans, we're like, really? That's who you're blaming? Is it really Mike Vrabel's fault? You have like the worst roster in the NFL, and Sean Payton. He just kind of took some time off, but I think if it's the right retread coach, yeah, go for it. I have no problem with it. But just to hire someone just because they have head coaching experience, I think that's dumb. I like the up-and-coming, hungry, young coordinator. That's what I would focus on, unless someone like a Vrabel or Sean Payton was available.
Okay. If you're the next coach in the New York Giants system, are you willing to say that Jackson Dart is your quarterback of the future?
No. What's funny about Dart is Brian Daboll picked him, if you did not know.
Yes.
That was Brian Daboll's guy. And he probably thought he was a lot like Josh Allen. They're both big and athletic, big arm. He is not Josh Allen at all. Josh Allen's much less reckless. Jackson Dart gets hurt. He's leading with his head. Guy is reckless. He's not as accurate as Josh Allen. He doesn't read defense as good as Josh Allen. Now, it's only 1 year. There are times where you can see the tools in Dart. There are some stretches, maybe quarter at a time, where you see some good. You're like, okay, if he can get with a really good coaching staff, he can develop, we got something here. But I don't know what I do. To be honest with you, they're picking 5th, so they're not picking first. They were picking first 2 weeks ago. So they're not in a situation where to trade the pick, move down, or trade Dart and draft Mendoza. They're not in this situation. So I think you have to roll with Dart and try to develop him at least for 2 more years. Give him 2 more years because I don't know that there's another alternative. But they probably should have just sat. They traded back in the first round. They probably should have sat in there and taken Tyler Shough. To me, Tyler Shough was the best of the rookie quarterbacks this year.
All right, let's move on to the Arizona Cardinals and Jonathan Gannon. This year, he was 3-14. And since he has been there in 3 years, his record is 15-36.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I think they went 9-8 last year, too.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll just let that sit there for a minute. And then we'll move on here.
I'm going to want your opinion a lot on this topic because I know you are a Cardinal fan, so you're going to have to talk a lot on this one.
That's fine. That's fine. They have played with the backup quarterback since week 5 in Jacoby Brissett. Much like all these teams we're talking about right now, none of them have a good quarterback. Mm-hmm. Can you win in this league without having a good starting quarterback, Cheese?
No. You might have stretches where you win some games, but no, you have to have a great quarterback. And they won 3 games this year. And they lost a lot of close games. The thing is, close games, if you have a really good quarterback, you're going to win a lot of games in the fourth quarter. It's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. So it's a problem.
Well, I would even say if you have a good playmaker, whether it be a good running back that can get you in the end zone, whether it be a really good receiver who you can throw that 50-50 ball up to, and he's going to come down with it most of the time. Sure. You just need to have one good dynamic guy. And they kind of do, but I don't think they use them well. I mean, they've got a tight end there, and Trey McBride.
You mean the tight end that set the record for most catches in the season?
Yes. And he didn't have very many touchdowns again this year. I remember the one year he didn't have any.
No, he didn't get one last year till like week 14. I think he had 2 for the year. I know. Why aren't you using his weapon in the red zone? Against Green Bay. He torched them. He had 2 touchdowns in the game. He was torching the Packers. At that time, Packers defense was top 5 defense.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And it's like they forgot that game existed.
Yeah. If Micah Parsons doesn't play that game, they don't win.
So The Cardinals also led the league. They had 22 players on IR at the same time at one point in the season. They were forced to use 80 different players this season. You're knocked out your quarterback. He got injured. Your top 4 running backs on your depth chart got injured. You had 30 linemen that ended the season on IR. Or 3 linemen, not 30. 3 linemen that ended the season on IR. And your top receiver, you had your pick, Nolan from Georgia. He was on IR. Garrett Williams was on IR from the D-line. I mean, they were like a mash unit on the NFL field.
Yeah. Nolan barely played, but when he did, he looked good.
He did. Yeah. And then I'm just gonna rattle off 4 or 5 of these things, and then we're gonna talk about everything as a whole, all right? Because I've got a lot to say about this, and so do you, I'm sure. So since moving to Arizona in 1988, they have had only one head coach that lasted more than 4 seasons. And that was Ken Wisenhunt from 2007 to 2012. So maybe it's not just the head coach that's wrong here. Personally, this is where you're going to get me. I'm going to say a lot here for a moment. I would have given Gannon one more season, even though they did sign him to a 5-year contract. But since now they have decided to let him go, I don't understand why they didn't let the offensive coordinator go, the defensive coordinator go, the special teams guys go. They should have let everyone go today, because it's not just Gannon's fault for having all these injuries and having all these other different problems that they had, not having their quarterback available. If they're going to let him go, then they should have let everybody go. What do you think about everything that we've talked about here, Cheese?
I think they will, yeah. Like I mentioned earlier, sometimes the new coach might want to bring certain coaches back, or the organization just really likes one of the coordinators and they want to keep them, but they want to make sure the new coach is on board as well. Definitely should fire the offense coordinator. Definitely should fire the special teams coordinator. Absolutely. That was not good. So, yeah. But there's, oh God, you touched on so many things there. Michael Wilson is real pleasant as well. We got to mention him. He really came on when Marvin Harrison Jr. got hurt. So they have two really good big outside receivers. That's good. You have a really good tight end. They could use a slot receiver. They could use a speed guy, like a receiver stretch the field.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, there's some optimism with this team. They were 3 wins, right?
Yes.
They should have won at least 6 or 7. I mean, they completely gave a couple games away. Just gave the game to the other team. So this is probably a team that should have won at least 7 or 8 games that won 3. So if you have a good draft, if you can get some free agents, I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback. That's a big issue. But if this team could be a playoff team. I thought they were. I thought they were a 10-win team this year. I really didn't expect Kyler. I thought Kyler Murray would have a good year, but obviously he got hurt and wasn't effective when he was in there and got benched. But I don't. It's not like a full rebuild. And you pick third. That's the thing. One more thing about it. They picked third in the draft, which is crazy that they're picking that high.
It is.
But there aren't really 3 quarterbacks that are like definitely going top 10. And the teams ahead of them need quarterbacks too. So I don't think they're going quarterback. So that's going to be the biggest issue for the offseason is who's going to be their quarterback next year.
Yeah, because I don't think it's going to be Kyler Murray.
And then who do you get?
I mean, Jacoby Brissett does have 1 more year in his contract. I've got a few things on this, but we'll save those for other upcoming shows. But I've got a few takes on this. We'll get to them here. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about as far as Jonathan Gannon goes? I mean, I don't want to say I'm upset about it. This is not the choice I would have made.
I get it. It just, I didn't see. I know he's a defensive coach. Mm-hmm. But I just did not see, especially on offense, I didn't see enough players in motion. I saw Marvin Harrison Jr. line up on the same side all the time. I never saw him in the slot against a better matchup. I just didn't see, like you said, they didn't target Trey McBride enough in the red zone, especially last year. Why are you not doing these things? It goes back to head coach. You're the leader. You need to make sure this stuff gets done. I just see a lot of things that I don't like. So I would have done the exact same thing. I would have made this move as well. I think they can do better.
And I want to say this at the end so we're going to do the poll question, and then we're going to give our predictions on who's going to be the next head coach of all of these teams here. We'll take them one by one. I think this is a good-looking team for a coach. I mean, when you and I see some of the problems, right? We see the Trey McBride problems. We see the motion problems. We see the Marvin Harrison Jr.'s got to be better thing.
It's very vanilla offense. It's very vanilla, predictable kind of offense to me. Just watching them on film. Yeah.
Well, even talking to other players and stuff, that they knew the plays before they were coming, because if they weren't in some kind of vanilla thing, they only had like 6 or 7 little sprinkles that they toss in there, and when they would the person on a in a different spot, they knew what play was coming, so they knew how to defend it. I think if you just change this offense around some, the defense isn't terrible, and they've got Budda Baker on defense. You've got Thompson on defense. You've got you got a lot of pieces. You got a lot of Ohio State pieces.
Josh Sweat had a good year. You have Walter Nolan. Yeah, Will Johnson. Walter Nolan, Will Johnson. That combination could end up being just this draft. You could end up talking about it. I really like their draft. And who knows? Maybe Budda Baker wants someone to play next to him, and they had the best safety combo in the league. Maybe Caleb Downs at number 3 gets drafted by the Cardinals. There you go. Arvell Reese improved the defense because, we'll see. But can you imagine Budda Baker, Caleb Downs?
Yes. I want to imagine Budda Baker, Caleb Downs. Yes.
Usually safeties don't go that high, but Caleb Downs is just one of those.
Yeah, he's special
talents.
Absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go over the poll question, and then we'll say who we think is going to take over for all of these players, and then we'll bid you adieu until tomorrow, when we're not going to do baseball tomorrow because we're going to have a special guest the week after. I'll tell you about him here in just a moment. So let's go ahead and do the Lights Out special edition poll question for tonight. Which of these 4 NFL teams should have made a change at head coach? You had the Cincinnati Bengals, the Miami Dolphins, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Indianapolis Colts. Since we went on the air, this has changed some. So it's kind of interesting. The one thing that did not change was one of those teams still doesn't have any votes for changing their coach. The Indianapolis Colts have 0. No one voted for the Indianapolis Colts. 13% of our viewers voted for the Baltimore Ravens. 40% of our viewers voted for the Cincinnati Bengals. And the team that they thought should have changed their head coach the most from the people who voted on our poll were the Miami Dolphins at 47%. Cheese, who'd you vote for?
I voted for the Bengals. I would totally disagree with the poll. Mike McDaniel is not the problem. In fact, he did as good a job as any with that terrible roster. The bad thing for Mike McDaniel is he wasn't fired. He can get a better job because the Dolphins are going nowhere because their roster stinks. But no, I thought the Bengals, to me, Ted Taylor, I know there's some big weaknesses on the roster, but at the same time, it just feels like they have games where they just don't even show up. They're not doing anything. And that really bothers me. That Baltimore Ravens game this year and this past game against the Browns, it's just terrible. They lay a brick, and they have 3 or 4 games every year, and it cost them the playoffs last year. They completely blew some games. So I probably would have made a change, but really Duke Tobin's one I really would have fired from Cincinnati. But they're not making a change. What do you think?
They're going. I've said this for a long time, and actually – there were a couple people here who commented on this that I should probably shout out here. Let me remember how to get to that part of everything. There we go. Nope, wrong button. Let's see here. Little old Dave, he's at DM_4USA, says just Miami, in my opinion, because injuries plagued the other 3. The Bengals are still a playoff team as well as the Ravens and the Colts. I messaged him back and said, I'm not sure if being a borderline playoff team keeps you from firing your head coach. But
Baltimore, go ahead.
Well, I mean, they were there. They looked awful last night, but they were there. They won that game. They're in the playoffs. So I get his point. Go ahead. You want to comment on what he said?
Well, it's just the Ravens – they were expected to be so much better than that. I think their over-under was 11.5. Like I expected the Ravens to be just. I thought they'd win the division. I thought they'd be one of the best teams in the NFL. In fact, I could be wrong. I don't know if you remember. I have it. No, I have the notes. Sorry, people could text me. Like, are you podcasting right now?
Yes.
I think I had them in the Super Bowl. It was either them or the Bills. I can't remember. So
that's been a long time ago, sir. I can't remember what I had for breakfast.
The Ravens were a disaster. The Ravens were a disaster. They're a terrible team. They're a terrible team. So now I voted for the Bengals, but I just think the Bengals need a change. Actually, it's changed now. The Dolphins are at 50%. People keep voting. Yeah.
Yeah, even Cowboy Reggie says going Dolphins here. So he's our good buddy from over at the Sons of Star podcast as well. So we appreciate everybody talking to us. Also, a guy named Tony Bennett sent this: the Bengals.
Tommy
Taylor getting the safety key for one playoff run is very wild behavior. And of course, you know, if you guys have been listening to this show for any stretch of time, you know how I feel about this. I think that he needs to have an offensive coordinator that doing everything, the head coach, the coordinator, calling the plays, all that stuff is just too much for him. So I don't think he should be doing everything. In fact, honestly, I don't think any head coach should be doing everything. A head coach should be a head coach, and he should get people that are good enough underneath of him to take that one job on, which is calling plays. Tony Bennett, by the way, at TJ Bennett 37. Bennett is spelled B-E-2.
I know you like Tony Bennett's music, but his name is Tommy Bennett.
Oh, it is Tommy Bennett. You're right. You're right. Sorry.
You're like old school. Yeah,
yes,
you're old school.
Yes,
you and Tony Bennett were in school together, right?
That's very true. He's going to be all kinds of mad at me now. It is Tommy Bennett. Thank you for for correcting me, Cheese. So you can be found at TJ Bennett, BENNETT, 3 T's, 37. So TJ Bennett with 3 T's and then the letters 3 and 7. You can get him over on X. He'll be here with us not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow. Big Red Sox guy, does Baseball Scoop Substack for Beyond the Monster. He is also on the Pesky Podcast, which is a Boston Red Sox podcast. He's a big fan of the Bruins, the Devils, and also the Diamondbacks. So we'll talk to him next week. Bring in some Boston flavor into our show next week and find out what all's going on over there as we talk specifically Boston last week.
Last thing I want to say about Zach Taylor, he's got one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So he needs. I know he was hurt some, but they still lost games they should have won. And when you have a quarterback, you have great receivers. I know the offensive line isn't bad, but there are coaches out there who would kill for a quarterback like Joe Burrow. So that's why I voted for the Bengals. I just think he can do better.
Okay.
Then
we've got at Louis Renault. He says he has a hot take for us. Rodgers is a top 4 quarterback in the playoffs.
I love Rodgers, but I'm going to disagree. Well, let's just quickly go over. Okay. I don't think he's better than Drake May, right?
Okay.
I don't think he's better than CJ Stroud. Matt Stafford. Brock Purdy. Jordan Love. He's not better than Justin Herbert, in my opinion. So I don't know. I get what you're saying, but he's much better than Stroud. Okay. And Purdy. I mean, I guess you can make the argument, but he's not better than Josh Allen. He's not better than Justin Herbert. There's this broken hand. It's a non-throwing hit. Is he better than Bo Nix? What do you think? I was asking you.
I'm just liking this. I'm just hanging out over here clicking buttons, and
Jalen Hurts.
You're talking about this.
Jalen Hurts. I mean, I could see him 4th, but I could see him like 8th or 9th. Trevor Lawrence has been playing well.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that he's top 4, which I see top 4, right? Yeah, he's saying Rodgers is top 4. No, Louis, I got to disagree with you. I don't even. I didn't want to get in on this debate because I don't like Aaron Rodgers as a person. Never mind as a quarterback.
Oh, he's misunderstood as a person.
Okay, sounds like a Packers guy talking.
That just is. He's a great teammate. The notion online that he's a bad teammate, I could tell you stories forever how what a great teammate is.
Okay, so I'm going to read this out to you here. So he says, here's my argument. It's basically Rodgers. It's because Rodgers has basically 0 weapons on this Steelers team, but he makes magic out of nothing. Gets 3 touchdowns with no DK. With no DK. Okay, against the Ravens last night out of nowhere. The Ravens kind of beat themselves last night too, though. I mean, they made some really stupid mistakes.
Calvin Austin did that double move, and that Raven corner bit so bad on that. No, I think Aaron's playing better than people give him credit for. I do. I just don't think he's top 4.
Yeah, the top 4 part I'll disagree with, but I can.
He just can't move like most of the other quarterbacks in the playoffs. Right. He just can't move like them. I think that,
I will say he looks revived here over the last 2 or 3 games, though. So maybe he can give you what he's got left down the stretch, and maybe that's good enough to get him. I mean, I think if the Steelers win 1 playoff game, that's almost like a big win for them because they have not done it in so long.
I think he did play pretty well yesterday for the most part. I'm a little biased. I think he's played better than. I think he's played better in the second half of the season. Houston is 3.5-point favorites. So, but it is at home and it's cold weather and it's a dome team. So, yeah, I could, if they do win, and they could win. I don't know if I'm going to pick them to win, but they and he gets DK Metcalf back. Here's the biggest problem I have with the Steelers. There's so many games where, and maybe it's Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator's fault. I don't know. But there's so many games where they're just not using DK Metcalf right. What does DK Metcalf have? Size and speed down the field. That's how Seattle used him. And they're throwing little screens, little hitches, little delays to him. It's like, no. just he's also not really a great contested catch guy. Get him in the open field where he can absolutely destroy you. And they finally started doing that a little more as the season went on. So it definitely hurt in the game against the Browns not having him, but they will get him back. But the Steelers Texans, we'll talk about that tomorrow. But it's an interesting matchup. I could go off right now, but we'll talk about it tomorrow. What the Steelers could do against a really good Texan defense. There's something they could do that actually could be successful.
All right. I'll be interested to hear that tomorrow. Louis, I'm sure you will too. And Louis, thank you very much for commenting. We appreciate it. We went off track to talk about what you wanted to talk about real quick. So fans, those of you who are doing that, not another one, Louis. Don't do this to me.
Keep them coming. So I love TJ Watt. I love him to death. He's not top 3.
Good player.
He's a great player. He's a great player. He's not top 3. Defender.
But he did come back from a serious injury to play for the Browns last night.
Punctured a lung or something, yeah.
Yeah, punctured lung. Ow. That's just ow.
Did it with some knee? I don't know what was going on with that. That whole situation's weird.
Yeah, they didn't talk about it a whole lot, but he came back, and so everybody was happy. But I will tell you this: Cheese mentioned it earlier.
All these people are texting me about Rodgers. He's top 4. He's not top 4. These people text me. Just put it in the comments, people. Don't text me. If you're listening to us, hit a comment and do it, people. Stop
Have some guts,
cheese.
right, Louis? Tell them, Louis. So I'll give this part to Louis too. I appreciate you too. Both of us appreciate you, buddy. We really do. We love to interact with you guys. That's why we have the chat up here. We don't have to have it up here if we didn't want to. Trust me, we get a lot of bots and all kinds of stupid stuff that we scam out the entire time that I'm doing this. So, but what we do it for is for people like you, Louis, and for people like let's see, we had other people comment. Sam 9010 commented earlier. Ramen did. Mr. First Down. We appreciate each and every one of you guys coming on there. And doing it all the time.
Did you see Watson reception? Cameron Hayward bats the ball down. It hits back off Lamar right into TJ Watts. That was really the difference in the game. They don't win the game without that play. Lamar Jackson, what happened to him? We could talk about that, but anyway.
I don't know. We need to eventually.
Appreciate you, Louis.
I will tell you this, Louis. Aaron Rodgers did impress me with one thing last night. He impressed me that he can still throw that deep ball and can still do it accurately. He can still do it, man.
He's got a great arm. God,
you would think that would be the first thing to go is the arm strength as you get older, but it must not be, not with him.
Yeah, and he's got such a quick release too. He can see a receiver get open and just flick his wrist and put zip on the ball. It's unbelievable. A lot of quarterbacks have to just wind up, and he just can get rid of it quick. He's always been amazing at that.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to our.
He's talked me into it. I'm putting him top 4.
Are you? Are you going to do it?
Why not?
He's
better than Purdy, Hurts, Darnold. Yeah, let's do it. Stroud. Why not? All right, are we going to pick?
Oh yeah, we're going to do our pick here.
Okay.
That's what I'm. Okay, hang on. That's what I was throwing music in the background for. But sometimes when I do certain music, and that's why I did it real quick, sometimes it drowns you out. And I didn't want to drown you out. That's why I clicked right back out of it because it was drowning you out. All right, so let's go with our picks here real quick, sir. I told my wife we'd be done early, and I'm not gonna live up to this one. So
we're almost done.
Yeah, almost. I told her an hour.
Yeah, Rodgers could have better receivers. The biggest issue with the Steelers, why they won't make a huge run, is because they don't have another really good receiver besides DK. I don't know why they didn't do that, but anyway.
Well, why didn't they get the guy? Lazardo? Why didn't they pick him up, Cheese?
I don't think he's any better than any of their other receivers besides DK. But they traded George Pickens. George Pickens and Rodgers would have been so good together. Oh, they would have been great. It's the kind of receiver Rodgers loves, but I guess they weren't going to re-sign him. But they had to get another weapon. They had to, they used. They traded a second-round pick for Metcalf. They used a third-round pick on a running back from Iowa, who I like. Fine. he could be great, but God, there were some really good receivers sitting there in the third round they couldn't have used. So,
All right. I will Gibbs the GOAT. Give me just a second, buddy. I will get to you. I see you there too. So we're getting all these comments all of a sudden. We love it. So let's go one at a time here. The Titans. Who do you think will be the Titans' next head football coach?
Okay. I haven't watched a second of NBA this year.
Yeah, me either.
So the Pistons are good. That's rare.
If you say so, Gibbs
cool.
the GOAT.
No, that's awesome for the Pistons because they're usually not very good. I'm going to go with Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator of the Steelers. He's probably not the sexiest name. I don't think he did a good job in the game last night calling plays. But he loves two tight end sets and he loves to run the ball. The Titans want to run the ball. They love tight ends. He used to be their offensive coordinator. So under Vrabel, then he got the Falcons head coaching job. So yeah, I'm going to say Arthur Smith. Who you got?
All right. Well, I'm going to take a guy who's supposed to be an offensive guru, even though he's already had one head coaching job and he didn't do very well there. Maybe the second one he'll do better. There you go. I like you too, Cheese. I like me better. Anyway, the Tennessee Titans are going to go with Cliff Kingsbury.
Oh, that came in. I didn't think about him. Okay, so what do you think? Do you think he did a good job in Arizona? Tell me more. Like, how do you think he did a good job? Do you think he should have been fired? What do you think?
Wait a minute. I'm going to put this up here, and I can't wait to see your reaction because I already know how disgusted you're going to be. Louis, you've just gone over the line, buddy. Oh.
Matt Nagy is one of the dumbest human beings to ever coach a football team. He was awful against the Bears. I watched him with the Bears just lose game after game after game. He did such a horrible job developing Mitch Trubisky. You cannot let him be near a young quarterback. He doesn't call plays. Andy Reid does. Patrick Mahomes he didn't develop Patrick Mahomes. When he got the job, developed Mitchell Trubisky, who had all these tools. He did a terrible job. And Mitch Trubisky looks pretty good as a backup for Buffalo. I could not think of a worse coach than Matt Nagy.
Yeah,
maybe Matt Eberflus.
Just because they're interviewing him, calm down, Louis. Calm down. You're gonna get cheese.
Oh, okay. I just think some people think the media is trying to force him. Yes, Ian Rappaport, he deserves a chance. He's this great offensive mind. When has he ever been? It's Andy Reid's offense. It's Andy Reid's play calling. He's never done anything except fail miserably in Chicago. I just cannot believe that anyone. And by the way, he was the last 3 or 4 years. He has been on anyone's radar. No one's been interviewing him. All of a sudden, the media's push. Oh, he's this great. It's like all of a sudden he's this great candidate. Do you not forget how terribly he was 4 or 5 years ago? It's like as years go on, we can just forget. Oh, he gives another shot. He's good again. No, he was never good. Anyway.
So to answer your question, before Louis got you all twisted and turned over there.
Yeah, you got Cliff Kingsbury. Yeah, tell me about him.
Yes. So no, I didn't think Cliff did a real great job in Arizona, but I did think he did a really good job with some quarterbacks. He got the best out of Kyler Murray, I thought. He also got the best out of Jaden Daniels when he had Jaden Daniels. So I think they want to get this quarterback thing right.
He's not available.
Crazy.
Ben Johnson's not available. He's the head coach of the Bears.
Yeah.
But yes, of course you want him. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. a lot of teams want him right now.
I want Sean Payton. I want Mike Vrabel.
Me too. I want Sean Payton.
I want Vince Lombardi.
I want Vrabel. Let's just start picking people we can't have. I was going to throw women's names out there. My wife might watch this every once in a while. I better not. All right. So no, but I think they really want to get. You finally get that. Did that finally? It took you a minute, didn't it?
Every once in a while.
Okay. Just come on now. You got to be quicker. They've got to get Cam Ward right, and I think Cliff Kingsbury can help them do that. So
I like that.
I'm going to give him Cliff. What about the Falcons, buddy? Where do you think the Falcons are going to go?
I think Clint Kubiak would be perfect. He's done such a good job with Seattle. is their offensive coordinator. That offense is just outstanding. It would be such a good fit for what Atlanta has because they do like to run the ball, and you have to run the ball. Atlanta, they're set up to run the ball. At Bijan Robinson, and he did a real good job with the Saints offense without a lot of talent when he was the Saints offense coordinator. So yeah, to me, that'd be a perfect fit for the Falcons. Is Kubiak.
All right, Kubiak there for the Falcons as far as Cheese goes. I'm going to give you a guy who was the ACC Coach of the Year. He's a former Notre Dame and LSU head coach in college. And I'm going to bring Brian Kelly into the NFL and put him with the Atlanta Falcons.
I'm not even going to dingify that with a response.
Oh, okay.
Brian Kelly, really.
Brian Kelly. Yep.
Yeah. He's got such a great temperament to be a coach. Yes.
You don't have to have near as much of a temperament in the NFL. They let you get away with all kinds of stuff.
Kelly. So a fired head coach in college is going to get a head coaching job in the NFL?
Yes, but I guarantee you, before you're done with this list, you're going to give me at least one fired. You already have given me one fired NFL coach to be another NFL team's head coach. So
I do have one more. I have one more retread coach on this list. I do.
Okay. Who are the Browns going to get?
I'm going to go with Joe Brady. He's defensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills. He's been kind of a candidate the last couple of years, hasn't gotten a job. He might be doing the Ben Johnson thing, just picking his job, although if he's doing that, he's not going to pick the Browns. But he's just rumored as a candidate. They want to go maybe offense. So, yeah, give me Joe Brady of the offensive coordinator of the Bills.
I think that's going to be a little bit different. And this is probably not going to be a popular. I mean, the last one's not going to be popular either, but this one's probably going to be even worse. I think they're going to go. Yeah, they're going to go defensive minded again because they know they have the defensive side of the ball at least halfway figured out. So they're going to bring in a head coach that's a really big and really good defensive minded head coach. And they're going to go take the guy that's the DC from Denver and bring him to Cleveland. They're going to get Vance Joseph to come in and be the Browns' new head coach.
I like that. I like that hire. We will talk about him tomorrow on the Lights Out list. At the end of the show, we're going to do a top 10 coaching candidates. Of course, our list will be very different. Top 10 coaching candidates, and he will make my list. He will make my top 10.
Brian Kelly will make mine, just so you know.
He will not make mine. He wouldn't make my top 150 list. But I do not have Vance Joseph at any of these on this list today. But I do think he's a top 10 candidate. He just didn't make the list.
Okay.
What's next?
What about the Raiders? The Raiders is next.
You mentioned him earlier. I'm going to go with Jesse Minter. He's the defensive coordinator of the Chargers. He was defensive coordinator at Michigan, did an amazing job there. He has probably done the most of any coordinator with the talent he has. I just think the Chargers have average at best talent on defense. In 2 straight years, both years he's been the coordinator, they have been like a top 5 defense. I think last year they were first in scoring defense. That's incredible considering what they have. So, yeah, I think the Brady-Michigan connection, I think Jesse Minter would be a really good fit.
All right, I'm going to stay with that Brady connection. I said it earlier. Brian Flores, I think, is who's going to get this job. So you're going to give it to one Brady guy. I'm going to give it to another Brady guy. And I can almost bank that one of those 2 guys is going to get this job. So one of us is going to be right. Let's jump into the Giants.
Real quick, Flores, we'll talk about him tomorrow. I'll be on my list tomorrow as well.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason he might not get a job is he has a lawsuit pending against some teams because he felt like they only interviewed him because of the Rooney Rule. They actually didn't take him serious as a candidate. So there is a lawsuit pending. So some teams might not want to hire him as a head coach till the lawsuit is completed. So that's the only – otherwise I think he would have had a job last year.
Okay. I'm really surprised. I thought you would have this guy up here before too much longer. If not, I'm going to be really surprised here. Let's go to the Giants. Who are the Giants going to hire as their head coach?
I'm hearing a lot of defensive coaches rumored for this. And I know it surprises. The name that I'm hearing is the favorite is Chris Shula, defensive coordinator of the Rams.
Mm-hmm. Got a great last name.
Yes. Yes, he is the grandson of Don Shula. So that's just what I'm hearing. Jeff Hafley, coordinator of the Packers, is rumored too. So there's a lot of names. There's like Matt Nagy, there's Mike McCarthy. God, oh my God. There's a lot of rumors, but I'm hearing that he may be the favorite. So I'll say him.
All right, I'm going to pick somebody who's a little off the wall again because I just kind of like doing this. But because of the old Eagles connection, and since they're in the same division, this coach probably knows a lot about the goings-on inside of the Eagles locker room. And all of a sudden, he's a free agent. Jonathan Gannon is going to go to the Giants as their new head coach.
Okay. Good job. Yes, I agree. I'm switching it.
Okay, I've convinced you. Kind of like Louis did earlier, right? Aaron Rodgers is the top scorer, and
you take some chances, man. You like bold predictions. That's Mike bold prediction Valentine. Wow. No one else is going to predict that. If it happens, then you're a genius.
I've got it all on my own.
You good? I did not see that coming. That's more shocking than Brian Kelly to me. I did not see that coming. But I do think Jonathan Gannon will get an offensive coordinator job somewhere. I do. Okay, I think we have one team left.
We do. What about Bobby Slowick?
Slowick. So Bobby Slowick was the offensive coordinator of the Texans, did a great job, and then their offensive line collapsed last year, 2024 season, and he got the blame. It wasn't the offensive line. He got fired as offensive coordinator. Turns out, it really was the offensive line. I think Slowick's a very good coach. I think he will eventually be a head coach in the league, and I felt bad that he got fired. It really hurt his chance. It'll take years probably to become a head coach. He was a candidate. But, yeah, I really like Bobby Slowick. I like his offense.
Okay. I think we may have the same person for this job. Maybe.
I have a retread coach. Do you?
Me too. Huh.
Okay.
This will be interesting because we have not
Arizona?
compared this list.
Is this Arizona Cardinals?
Yes, this is the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I got Kevin Stefanski. Why not? I think he did a good job in Cleveland to win 45 games, 56 losses with a terrible team. Why not go get him? He won Coach of the Year twice. Kevin Stefanski to the Arizona Cardinals. You do as well. Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
We predicted the same person. Okay.
We did.
I was wondering if we get any of them the same. We rarely do, but we do. Okay.
Yeah,
Go
I'm
ahead.
with you. I think that Stefanski did a really good job. I think that this will be an interesting hire for him because I think he can come in. There's enough pieces there that it's a good team, but there's enough holes that he can make it his own team all at the same time. And I think that's what a real good head coach wants. He doesn't want to have to build everything up from the ground, and he doesn't want to have to take on somebody else's players. So he can kind of do both with the Arizona Cardinals, and I think he'll be really good.
I think it's a good fit. I think it's a really, really good fit. And, that makes a ton of sense. That should happen. So finally, we got one. We agree. Finally.
We agree.
All right.
Yes, sir.
That was fun.
It's always fun.
Make NFL shows.
All right, so I know this music's going to drown you out a little bit. It almost always does. So I'll just kind of take over for a second. Not that I don't like you, but just hang on and you be all pretty and stuff, and I'll be the guy. I'll be the voice. You be the looks. Okay. All right. So hey guys, we appreciate you. Thank you all very much. Did you hear me earlier? Almost 12,000 views on our YouTube channel over the weekend. Thank you guys very much for that. We're going to chop this one up, make some shorts out of this. We'll have them tonight and tomorrow, and then tomorrow night, of course. Lights Out podcast. Make sure you tune back in for that. We will do no baseball tomorrow. We'll predict all of the games, both college and NFL, and we'll sprinkle in a few baseball things because there have been a few things that have happened. We'll kind of sprinkle in there a little bit. So
we'll talk about it for a little bit, yeah.
For a little bit, yes.
A little bit.
But not a big long segment.
Nothing's
like
going
we
on.
usually do.
There's nothing going on right now, so yeah.
Not a lot. I wouldn't say nothing, but not as much as there is everywhere else. And of course, remember, Tommy Bennett will be on with us the next Tuesday. You can check him out as well. We've got him up on our spot. And then, of course, as always, we're going to do the Lights Out list tomorrow. It will be the candidates that are the top 10 candidates for getting any of these coaching positions. All right, so well, I don't really control it, but okay. The program does it for us, Louis. That's why we bought the program. Converted the right. Oh. Okay, so we're all over to the dark side now. That's fine. They have better cookies over there. All right, guys. Hey, we appreciate you all very much. All of you that have commented, thank you for that. See us tomorrow. And, of course, go over the cheese. Let me hang on here and let me make
I have
sure
a poll.
that we can.
Make sure you go over to @footballcheese, my X account, @footballcheez. It is what 6 or 7 seed has the best chance to reach Super Bowl? 49ers, Bills, Packers, or Chargers. Got 9 votes so far. You can vote until about midway through the show tomorrow. So about 24 hours.
All right, fantastic. We appreciate that, buddy. Thank you guys very much. And of course, the same thing we say at the end of every single show. The only thing that's fair in life is a baseball hit between the third and first base lines. Good afternoon, everyone. We appreciate you.